Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to... Has anyone seen the bride and groom?
Sorry, we're here. We were getting lucky in the limo and we lost track of time.
No, Lucky Land Casino, with cash prizes that add up quicker than a guest registry.
In that case, I pronounce you lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Daily bonuses are waiting. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Hey guys, it is Ryan. I'm not sure if you know this about me, but I'm a bit of a fun fanatic when I can. I like to work, but I like fun too. It's a thing. And now the truth is out there. I can tell you about my favorite place to have fun. Chumba Casino. They have hundreds of social casino style games to choose from with new games released each week. You can play for free anytime, anywhere. And each day brings a new chance to collect daily bonuses. So join me in the fun. Sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW. Void were prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
It's very important. I mean, in my daily routine, when I filter through my emails, the ones that I know are recruiting emails, I don't open those because it's not time for me to work on recruiting right now. So I will pull those together for my dedicated time to open recruiting emails. And I might not always go in sequential order. I might go based on what I'm seeing in the subject line. Yeah. So short and to the point, because the subject line is only so long, especially when we're checking it on our phone.
Yeah.
And, have the pertinent information about your graduating class and your year, or your graduating class and your position. And then if you have been to a camp of ours or you are coming to a camp of ours, that will definitely stand out to us if you put it in there somewhere where it's not at the very end of the sentence where we can see it on the phone.
Welcome to the Foul Pole to Foul Pole podcast, brought to you by Black Diamond Softball and Fitness, presented by the Tell Valhalla Project, where heroes live forever.
Jamie, Chaley, thank you guys for joining me today. It's an honor for me to sit down and talk with you guys for a few minutes, and I like to jump right into it and let's talk, how great last season was for you guys.
A blast. Very rewarding. Really fantastic group that we got to work with all year long. They stayed bought in and invested and believing. And they really had that special it factor as a group, just their cohesiveness and selflessness and coachability and all that. It just really allowed us to get to deeper and deeper layers and levels of teaching and coaching. And that was a lot of fun for us.
Yeah, I just would say that our team's work ethic in general is pretty impeccable, to be honest. There's not very often that they just go straight home after practice. If they didn't feel like their practice was up to par, they're definitely staying for extra reps and, coming in throughout the day and hitting on their own and things like that.
Yeah. When you jump into a season like that, it's almost like it's over before you realize it. So you're doing all this prepping and planning like you're doing right now. And then before you know it, you're a couple of weeks into the season. When you guys got into, say, conference play last year and things were rolling, when did you realize that this team is special and you guys were going to do something big?
Oh gosh, there's so many moments to reflect back on. It's hard for me to nail that on the head necessarily.
I would say there's been some practices. There was some practices in the fall that we had kind of ended practice and looked at each other like, all right, we're going to be pretty special this year. And, we kept reminding ourselves to wait, we haven't played another team. We're just playing each other. And then, our first weekend out, I would say, I don't think it was that great, to be honest with you. And we were like, oh no, maybe we kind of jumped the gun on saying that stuff. But the next weekend we had the same talk that we had in the fall. And we're like, okay, this team is something special. It's definitely going to be different this year.
Yeah.
And there's really never a time during conference play that we ever feel like, okay, we're going to be okay, because the SAC conference is just flat out dangerous. It has you on the edge of your seat every week. There's no games that you can take off whatsoever. You're tested and challenged all season long, all regular season long. And so, we were just really trying to make sure that we kept the team in a good headspace and, kept them humble and hungry as we went through, because we knew anything could happen any given week.
Yeah. And that goes into the mental side of college athletics. What do you guys do as a coaching unit to focus on the mental side and keep the girls ready, to keep going for a long season?
Well, I think for one, we have relationships with our players and we really know them. We know them as whole people. We care a lot more about them in terms of who they are off the field and what's going on with their lives in the classroom and personally. And we know like the goals that they have for themselves outside of the chalk lines, as well as, between the chalk lines. So that starts that those relationships are what start that process of being in tune with what's going on with them mentally. But then I think secondly, like especially after COVID, we honed in on the mental game a lot more and on our mental health, and we started having a lot more open conversations because we saw and heard from our players that that's what they wanted and needed. And so we just have a lot of really good open conversations with everybody. Sometimes it's one-on-one, sometimes it's as a whole team. And we're just not afraid to talk about some of those taboo subjects. It's being a student athlete, being a college student in general, being a young adult woman that's navigating all of this uncharted territory of life. It's hard work. And, softball, especially the sport of softball, we can get caught right in that roller coaster of emotions pretty easily. And so our mental game is crucial. And we talk about a lot of things with them, everything from controlling the controllables to time management, doing some visualization and self-evaluation. You name it, we've probably tried it and tried to help fine tune their skills in those departments.
Yeah, I was going to just say, one thing that we have that's different than a lot of other schools is we have an all-female coaching staff. And so I think it helps with the relationships with each of the players. They feel more open coming to talk to us about these things because we, three of us now, are Division I players. We all played at that high level. So we understand, the tasks that are the hardships that you go through and the mental struggles that you're going to have. So they feel more open to come and talk to us about it versus, sometimes it's harder with a male who hasn't technically played softball at the highest level. So I do think that we have that in our favor.
Yeah. I talk to a lot of different athletes, whether it's hitting lessons or if I'm coaching or going out to run a camp or a clinic. And there is a huge presence of males in the coaching world. And kudos to them for jumping out there and doing that because of their daughters or whatever. But there's a different level of connection when it comes to female interaction because you guys can talk to them. You've gone through the grind of playing, whether it's club ball, travel ball, high school ball, and then getting into college, reaching that, playing the game at the pinnacle, whether you played D1 or D2 or D3, or you went on and played professionally. They can see that with you. I can't say that that's what I've done. I mean, here I am, bearded face, and just coming up telling them what to do. But they know you guys have done that and gone through the recruiting process. With these coming after COVID, I know things have kind of gone back to the way they were before that. But social media kind of took off during that COVID era because of that y'all couldn't get out and recruit in person with Twitter and stuff. You guys get inundated with emails and ats on Twitter or Instagram and this and that. That personality kind of comes through, making that connection from social media and emails to seeing them in person, whether it's at a camp or a visit or something like that. What are you guys looking for to get those girls to come out of their shell a little bit and tell me more about you other than you play third base, you've played this long, you're just a softball player? How do you get them to come out of that?
I don't know. I feel like you handle most of the conversations, and I'm going to be completely honest with you. I am very terrible at social media. So if Coach needs me to see something on social media, she sends it my way because it's not for me. But I do know that, during COVID, obviously we couldn't have the athletes on campus, but post COVID and now that we're back to normal, see a little bit. We really try to get the kids on campus and get them in front of us because Coach will tell you, we recruit the families, not just the athlete. We're looking for a great fit family-wise because, the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. So we're definitely recruiting everyone versus just the athlete themselves. And then obviously at camps and stuff like that, they get to interact with us and get to see how we are as coaches versus, just over the phone or through social media. You don't get to really see who we are as people.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And the irony of her saying that she stinks at social media is that there's 10 years separating us. And I won't tell you who's older or younger, but I have seen the need to adapt and, pay attention to those things because like you mentioned with COVID, that was all we had. And the recruiting journey is so hard on these prospects and their families. Like, I do not envy them whatsoever. Things have changed so much since I was going through that process, and it was hard back then. To give you a little idea, like highlight videos, recruiting videos were just beginning during my recruiting process, and they were sent via VHS. So no, maybe DVDs. But I don't envy them during that process at all. And I don't blame them for using social media and just trying to blast those videos out there and tag colleges. But I will say from our perspective, it is a lot to keep up with. And we can't see it all. We can't check all the emails. We a lot of times it's very quick glances that we're able to find the time to take. But like Coach said, getting some of those prospects and their families on campus is the best recruiting tool that we have because we get to see the whole person. We get to see how they interact with their families. We get to see how they interact with our team. We believe that our campus and our team sell themselves because at the end of the day, this program is taken care of on a daily basis by the ladies in that locker room. This is their program. And so we're really proud of the individuals that we have here representing us. And they do a really great job of helping us find great fits.
What is your biggest concern when it comes to that recruiting part where girls just, they're not getting it and you can see the potential that's there and it's just, they're falling short in their recruiting process, whether it's going to Wingate or anywhere else? Just what's the major disconnect between parents, athletes, and that college?
I think maybe better worded as one of my pet peeves or something that I wish we could help folks improve on is that there's so many travel coaches, recruiting advocates, recruiting services, parents and prospects out there that don't watch enough softball at the college level from all levels. They don't know the difference between our program and, say, a mid-major D1, a Power 5 D1, a lower tier Division II. And so they really have no idea if they could play here.
Right.
And they don't educate themselves enough to figure out where their skills stack up in terms of what we have right here. Every time we go out recruiting, we're looking for better than what we have. We don't want to stay the same. We're not going to recruit players that we don't think can start on our team right now. That's just where we are as a program. Now, not every staff takes the same approach at every school, but we get emails and whatnot saying, like, this player would be great for you. She could play for you. You would love her. And the people sending these emails, they don't know me and they've never seen Wingate play a game and they have no idea. And that kind of will, that affects my trust level for that individual from now on, whenever they recommend a player to us, because when's the last time that you watched Wingate play? And you don't have to come here in person to do that. You don't have to spend money to do that. You can watch us online anytime. I think it's $12.99 a month for a Flow Softball membership, and you can watch all levels of college softball. And I think it's important for parents and prospects and travel coaches to know what the difference is between these programs out here. Recently, we saw a couple really great young ladies that we decided not to offer. They just committed with some mid-major D1s, and I think they are fabulous fits for those young ladies, and they're going to do a great job there. But I can tell you, with all due respect, they would not start on our team right now. And we've had them in front of us and at camps multiple times because we really wanted to be able to offer them an opportunity because off the field and character-wise, fabulous people, fabulous families, but just maybe not the skill level and the talent to cut it with where we're going as a program. And so, that's the reality. A while back, this is kind of an old story, but we had a young lady come visit who loved her experience here. Her travel coach texted her and said, "Hey, how was Wingate?" She said, "I loved it. Loved the coaches, great facilities. I could really see myself here." And travel coach texted her back and said, "That's great, but you're a D1 player." Well, guess what, travel coach? If you've ever seen us play, so is 80%, 90% maybe of our team. And that is facts. Like, we have players here who turn down Division I offers to accept our offer and be here at Wingate. And so you have all of that parity going on in college softball. And it's just a matter, and I'm not saying anything is better than the other, right, but it's about what is the best fit for that individual. So we have young ladies here that maybe could have played Division I softball, but could they have been competing for national championships or even conference championships? And it's about them finding the fit that's going to be best for them. And so I just really wish that these people that are helping advocate and advise our softball prospects would maybe just educate themselves a little bit more on, all of the different fits and possibilities that are out there.
I talked.
Hopefully that doesn't hurt anybody's feelings.
No, I talked to people probably within the last couple of years to where that's coming to light a little bit more. There used to be this thing of all the best players play D1, and then you step down, you go D2, and then you step down, you go D3, and then you're talking NAIA and JUCO and this and that. But the reality is there is D2 schools out there that could go out there and compete with any mid-major, any Power 5 conference, just because that's where the game of softball is today. The parity, like you said, is incredible. And it's gotten more now to where there are advocates out there that are taking on any prospect and saying, "I can get you so-and-so, I can get you so-and-so." And you're getting those emails, you're getting those messages like, "Hey, coach, this is a great fit for you." And just like you said, I have no idea who you are. And that breaks that bridge, that connection that you could have had with this advocate is gone now because they don't have a relationship with you. And if they did, they would know what prospect, what talent level, and what personality you're looking for. So when this episode goes out, I hope parents and players and advocates that listen to this understand that there's a connection that you have to make to those players. And you said it perfectly. It's their personality. It's their skill set. Yes, but it's got to be a great fit. You got to make sure that you're fitting into the team. It's not just D1 talent goes and plays D1. We have no idea what their academic goals are in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. And your student athlete experience is going to look different at every single school. And that is not always specific to the division. There are programs at all levels that, are maybe outliers and they travel differently. They gear their teams differently. Their facilities, their equipment are on a different level than what, people have in their mind from their impression of what NAIA softball was 20 years ago. Yeah. And so I just think keeping up with the times and keeping up with the enhancements that programs all over the place are making, because that's one of the wonderful things about our sport right now, being one of the fastest growing sports in America and women's athletics in general. people want to invest in women. And so programs are able to do more and more and more for these young ladies and enhance their student athlete experience. And so it's not just Division I programs that are able to give a great student athlete experience anymore. There's a lot of other programs out there that would be awesome experiences and awesome fits for these young ladies that travel coaches should not frown upon. And I wish we would get away from the times when, having players on a roster that are going Division I is like a feather in your cap. Like, the feather in the cap is sending that young lady forward anywhere where she's going to get the education that she wants and the experience that she wants to go be set up for success in her life. Yeah. And that's her own personal choice. And so I really want to encourage everybody out there that's advising and advocating for these young ladies to know and keep that in perspective, because it's about what's best for her.
Yeah. I was just going to say, it's about the athletes' next 4 years of their lives. It's about them going somewhere that they're going to help make a difference or help the team achieve their ultimate goal. And if that is at the D1 level, then that's what that is. But it also could be at any other level where these kids are going and making a name for themselves and helping a program reach its, the extremes, helping us get to a SAC championship and helping us get to the regional championship, right? Some of these kids, that's what they wanted. They wanted to go somewhere where they could help a program be built from the ground up. And sometimes you have to make that, it's a little bit of a selfless decision, but some of these kids have to put the D1 and all those other things in the back of their head. Like, they have them in the back of their head and they need to push them out and think about themselves and what the next 4 years of their lives hold.
Yeah. You talk about controlling the controllables and stuff. You could be a 2024 or 2025 and your dream school is there, wherever it's at. It could be Francis Marion, it could be Wingate, it could be Mount Olive, it could be anywhere. And they're just not recruiting your class and your position anymore. They're full. And it has nothing to do with you and your skill set. You did everything that you were supposed to. There was a transfer, there was a red shirt, there was this or that. And, you're a pitcher and they've got X amount of pitchers on there. We're just not looking at it. And it just didn't work out for you. And it's nothing that you did particularly wrong. You couldn't control that. Maybe there was a coaching change. Maybe a program stopped, or maybe a school stopped their softball program. There's so much out there that you can't control, but as long as you're controlling what you can, you'll find a fit. And can you speak on making sure that when you are talking to these prospects, that you are helping them find that fit, if it is Wingate, and if it's not, having that honest discussion and, however you go about letting them know that either you're not offering or you are offering, to kind of make sure that communication is heard.
Yeah, that transparency is so important. I appreciate it when we are, really high on a prospect and we're really working hard to get them. I appreciate their transparency when they keep me in the loop with who else is in the game with us and who else is like on the top of the list, and, what the major deciding factors are going to be for them. And so I really, try my best to be as transparent as possible when prospects ask me for honest truth. And, I can think of some individuals right now that I just have the utmost respect for, that upon telling them that we weren't going to move forward with recruiting them, they asked me, okay, do you know any programs that are run like yours that you think I could compete at, that you would suggest to me? And I will give all the time in the day to help somebody that has the courage to ask that, because they're truly just seeking what's best for them. And I will support that all day long. There's other folks out there that, I kind of lost my train of thought, but I'm still thinking about those people that have asked that question of like, okay, well, if I can't play here, then where else is going to be a similar experience to what you have? And where else do you have maybe some relationships with coaches that you really think would like a player like me? And I just think that that's a really great tip for recruiting prospects out there, to have the courage to ask those questions.
I think with technology and with COVID and social media, that 3-headed monster that I call it. Social media, technology, and COVID, it's affected a lot. And I think what happened was we pulled the human element out of recruiting in a lot of different ways in the different areas. If parents and prospects could understand the human side of it, don't just copy and paste an email and send it out to a whole bunch of coaches. You got to put some human in there. They want to know your personality. They want to get to know you to see, or is it, I see your skill set. I mean, we're splitting hairs here when it comes to that. When you get on campus, then I get to see you as a human and they get to see you. Maybe it's not a good fit. Can you talk a little bit about that human nature when it comes to the recruiting?
Yeah. I'm sure you probably have some things too, but at our camps, we try to keep our numbers low, like 40 to 50 campers. And that does mean that we keep ourselves busy by running more camps to make sure that we are creating enough opportunities for players that want to come to our camps and see what we have to offer. And so I'm doing that because I want to be able to have more one-on-one individualized time and conversation with our campers. I want them to feel valued. I want them to feel noticed. And so to come to a camp like that and not take the opportunity to show your personality, to ask questions, to put yourself out there is really doing yourself a disservice. No matter how shy and uncomfortable you might feel, this is your shot. This is your window of opportunity. I pride myself in trying to know everybody's name that comes to our camps. I know that sounds corny, but I study the spreadsheet the night before camp and, okay, so-and-so, she plays for this team. This is probably the color of the uniform she's going to wear to camp. There we go. Got it. Locked in. And that's because I want them to feel valued and special, because if they were to come to Wingate and be a part of our softball program, that's how they're going to feel every day. And I think that is something unique about our program. And I want to show that off. So if I'm working that hard to show off what we have to offer, then you better believe you better work that hard to show off what you have to offer. And so camps are a great opportunity for us to see how coachable you are, how you respond to a little bit of critique, how you can make adjustments. If you can't really feel your body and what's going on, and you can't apply some critique and make adjustments, then, that tells me something about how you might fit here. It tells me something about the athlete that you are. It tells me something about what kind of coaching you've received to this point. And so everything that whole entire camp environment, it just gives us so much information that's important. And I think that the prospect should approach it the same way, that they're here to gather information for themselves as well. They're not here to give us what we want or to think of the answers that they think we want to hear. They need to approach it kind of like a job interview where they're asking their questions as well. They're getting those answers for themselves. This is their one shot, their one window of opportunity to figure out, can I thrive here? Do they coach in the way and the style that will allow me to reach my fullest potential? Can I thrive in this environment? And we're here to give them all those answers that we can and just be our most genuine, authentic selves. So all they have to do is just simply reciprocate that.
Yeah, I was just going to say, to piggyback off what Coach said about our camps is, obviously we have a lot of our athletes work the camps. They actually ask us if they can work the camps. And our girls' personalities are a lot of fun to be around, which helps the campers, get out of their shell a little bit more. It might not be the same everywhere, but it also, we as coaches like to have a lot of fun. Like me specifically, I thrive around this sport. Like this sport is my life. And so anytime I'm out on the field, I'm having a ton of fun. And I think that feeds off into the recruits, and it allows those players to want to ask those questions, to have fun and be their like ultimate selves and really get out of their shell. They always come to camp and they're super shy and super quiet. And we always start with the introductions, and after introductions, I'd say from that point forward, a lot of them have started to come out of their shell unless they're just really shy. But it helps that we as coaches are so open, and that's our whole staff and our athletes as well. They're just so open and having fun, and we have music playing, which all those things just allow you to just be in the moment and enjoy it versus being so nervous.
I want to tie a couple of points together and get both of your opinions on it when it comes to having a kid on campus. I tell all the athletes that I have, that yes, you are going to a camp, but you need to go there, see how far it is away from mom and daddy's house, because this is going to be the first time you're away from mom and daddy a distance. Can you handle that? Look at the environment. Is it a city and you grew up in small town somewhere where you had to drive 30 minutes, or is it out in the middle of nowhere and you have to, drive, you grew up in a city and you have to go here. It's like you're going there. You're not necessarily trying out that school, but it kind of is a tryout. Do you see yourself here? What advice can you give those PSAs to not just show up to a camp 15 minutes before check-in, go through the camp and leave? What is some experience that you've seen your campers go through, or girls that have gone through the recruiting process with you, and it's been a success for them, whether they ended up being offered and committing and signing with Wingate, or you had that relationship with another coach said, hey, it's not a good fit for me, but it might be worth looking at?
I would say at our camps, we typically have a campus tour involved. So they're getting to see, our environment around campus. We allow them time to sit in the locker room and ask our players questions, a day in the life, and our girls are honest with them. And we have schedules up on the board so they can see an example of what their days might look like once they get here. Those are just some of the small experiences. Obviously, there's been some kids that have showed up like a day before camp and tried to come in the office and talk to us and see what it's like around campus and around the town of Wingate. But yeah.
Hello, it is Ryan, and we could all use an extra bright spot in our day, couldn't we? Just to make up for things like sitting in traffic, doing the dishes, counting your steps, all the mundane stuff. That is why I'm such a big fan of Chumba Casino. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino style games that you can play for free anytime, anywhere with daily bonuses. That should brighten your day a little. Actually, a lot. So sign up now at ChumbaCasino.com. That's ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Okay, round two. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Ah, sorry. We were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right. ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Yeah, and checking out all the facilities, whether it's a formal tour that is a part of camp or whether you just come and show yourself around. Yeah. Also, like the admissions department on every campus does campus tours for free. Go to their website, plan out your tour. If you're going to be traveling, a good distance for camp, you might as well show up a little bit earlier so that you can get that formal tour if it's not included in the camp experience. And then I would definitely recommend that the campers have some questions in mind. They have opportunities at every camp all over the place to ask questions. And most of the time it's crickets when we ask if anybody has questions. So that right there is one way you can set yourself apart, because questions get asked so rarely in the group setting at the end of camp when I say, does anybody have any questions? Nope. Like, I'm going to remember you if you actually raise your hand and you are confident enough in front of the group to ask a question. It could be, where's the closest Target? It could be, what restaurants do you have on campus? Do you have a Chick-fil-A? Do you have a Starbucks? And so having some questions prepared, and whether you are asking that in front of the whole group and you're asking the coaches those questions, or whether you are asking some of the student athletes those questions who are working the camp. Yeah. It's all your process of gathering information. It's going to be to your benefit. And so by not maximizing all of the opportunity that you have, you're wasting your parents' money. It's extremely silly, in my opinion, to spend the money and the travel to go to a camp at a school that you're really genuinely interested in and not have a question to ask. All that takes is just a little bit of effort. So at the end of the day, do we want to coach anyone that's not willing to give a little bit of effort? No.
Yeah.
So that's a way that can set you apart. I know that's uncomfortable. I know you might be shy. I know you're not the most confident version of yourself quite yet, but hey, put yourself out there. You know, that's part of life. That's part of growing up.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about when you guys leave campus and you are going and looking at different tournaments and maybe visiting a high school, which I do want to ask you, do you go visit high schools? Because it's a big question that people have. Well, you don't get recruited playing high school ball. It's only tournament ball and playing in these tournaments and stuff. So I do want to ask you, when you guys leave campus, do you mainly go together? Are you splitting up, trying to tackle this tournament in this state or this wherever? And, how do you guys go about, how does you, Jamie and Chaley, how do y'all go about tackling getting off campus and doing the recruiting?
Well, we have 4 coaches on staff, which is a luxury, something that we think is definitely sets us apart. And I don't take it for granted a single day. My staff is awesome. We are what we are because of our staff and especially our assistant coaches. So there are times that we divide and conquer. And there are times that it's definitely advantageous to take more than one coach to one tournament location because there are so many fields going on simultaneously. So we can divide and conquer in that way. High school ball, I think it's probably safe to say that all across the country, high school ball overall is not as competitive as travel. But we do know that you've got your little gyms in every state where there are some high school programs with a huge tradition of success and very knowledgeable coaches and just great little pools of talent. And so I think every college coach in every state is going to know where those programs are and build relationships with those coaches. And it's important. I mentioned the relationships because high school ball is happening at the same time as our season. And so a lot of times we can't get to those games in person, but we rely on those relationships. Right. And so there may be less than a handful if we're lucky, of high school games each spring that we're able to make it to. And we are going to prioritize getting to the games where we have relationships with those coaches or somebody that has given us a tip. You need to go watch this team play. You need to go watch this individual play. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing that we prioritize is getting out to watch the players that have come to our camps that have really impressed us, that we are following closely and that we want to see as much as we can of. And I do really value what goes on in high school athletics. Because sometimes you might see a different version of a player in high school ball than you do in travel. Their character looks different. Their effort looks different. And so it's important that we take inventory of that.
That's a very good point. When you go to these tournaments, there are some massive tournaments out there. Like we talk about the Colorado Sparkler, the Alliance, and we talk about PGF, we talk about USA, and there's probably some that I'm missing. And I apologize if I missed y'all's tournaments. But there are tournaments out there where the talent level that's there, the level of competition. We're putting 2 16U squads together right here, and there is a ton of prospects on here. When you go there, what are you looking for? A, from the parents, B, from the coaches, and C, from those players, whether they've contacted you and you're out there, hey, this is my schedule. I'd really like for you to come see me. You've identified these players. They're on your radar, and you're going to go see them play competition. So what are you anticipating from the parents, the coaches, and then the players?
Yeah, so we do make sure that all the emails that we are sent, if we're headed to a tournament, we try to make sure that team is on our schedule because we're going to do our due diligence and we're going to put forth the effort to make sure that we see that kid play at least once. Mm-hmm. When we show up, it is nice if the coach comes up and acknowledges our presence and us being there. But sometimes at the same time, it could be completely different.
Right.
But we do like if that coach comes over and talks to us and helps us get to know that kid a little bit better and understand like where they're coming from, the type of kid that they are, the type of athlete they've been on their team. Other than that, we like to just watch how the player interacts, you know, how they do after a bad at bat, what they do after an error, what they're doing, how they're carrying themselves on the field. Are they looking confident? Do they look like they're confident when they go to the plate? You know, little things like that we're always looking at because it really truly helps us, you know, see if that's the type of kid that we want to play for us, because some of those things we can't teach. You know, we can't teach we can preach to have confidence all the time, but we can't force you to have it, you know. It's so huge to be confident and carry yourself with confidence when you're out there, especially around people that you're comfortable around, you know. If they're showing us that in front of their travel team that they play with every single weekend and practice with, that they don't have the confidence to be a leader on that team, that they don't have the confidence to say something when something's not going well. You know, what do they do after the game when they're leaving the dugout? Are they going and getting on their phone immediately? Are they going to talk to their boyfriend that's there? Are they, you know, not saying anything to their parents? You know, those kind of things. We don't see them as frequently because it's hard because we're moving from field to field, but we do try to notice those things as much as possible because that'll truly tell us if they're a good fit for our program or not, because we want those kids that are doing the right thing all the time, especially when people aren't looking.
Okay.
Yeah, and to touch on the parents, I guess I've been blunt already on this conversation, so I'll just keep being blunt, but parents that stay out of the way is a great thing. Let your daughter own her journey. Let her own her performance. You are not paid or hired or have even been asked to coach the team. So sit in the bleachers and be a parent, not a coach.
Yeah.
And there's some wonderful, very knowledgeable parents out there. And they have some very meaningful things to share with their daughters to help her in her performance and her journey. But during the game from the sidelines is not the time to do that. That's just not going to benefit her performance. It's not going to look good either for her recruiting process. And it's not how her experience is going to be at the college level either, because our coaching and our work is done in practice. If your daughter needs constant critique, input, feedback during an at-bat in a game, she's not ready to play in a game. So the truth of the matter is that you're doing that for yourself. You're not doing that for your daughter. And the more that you can bite your tongue and just break that habit, the better off your kid is going to be. And she's probably going to have more fun. She's going to free herself up to really perform at her best because she's not going to be so tense. She's not going to be so worried and hung up on what you think and what you're saying. And you're really preparing her for the next level much better, because when she comes to play for us, you're not going to do that from the sidelines because you're interfering with the process of what we're here to do. Yeah. So that's a huge red flag and a huge deal breaker if you're doing that. And it's also just really sad and unfortunate for your kid. In terms of coaches, like Chaley said, we really appreciate coaches that just take a second to acknowledge us, but we don't need to be sold on all the players on your team. We have been doing this for a little bit, so we know what we're looking for, and those things stand out to us when we're watching. And if we have questions for you about kind of who they are and just more details about them, we want to be able to follow up with you and ask about those things. But we don't need a car salesman to come and tell us that every player on their team is the best player out here at the tournament, because it's just simply not true. So, just you introduce yourself and start to form that relationship with us, because even if we may not find somebody that's a fit right now for what we're looking for, we're going to remember you and how you handled the process in future years when maybe you do have somebody that fits what we're looking for.
Yeah, and to kind of piggyback off the parent thing, I, like Coach mentioned, I give a lot of lessons in the evenings, and they're to younger kids. And, those parents are ruthless sometimes. And I have to, tell them, like, if you want your kid to truly enjoy this game and truly continue to play, then you need to calm down a little bit, because if you're forcing them to have to do these things, if you're forcing them to come to lessons, if you're forcing them to put in the work, then they probably don't want it as much for themselves, right? Like, make them do those things. Like, make them tell you, hey, can you schedule a lesson this week? Hey, can we go practice? And I encourage those things as much as possible, because like she said, it is ultimately their experience. It's not about the parents. And sometimes the parents try to live what they couldn't through their child. And it's unfortunate, but it's so true. And I experienced it when I was growing up. My stepdad was the same way. He was trying to live through me, and he almost ruined it for me. So I'm super sensitive to, parents kind of staying out of the way and letting the kid truly enjoy themselves and the game for what it is, versus making it some job, because it's not supposed to be a job. It's supposed to be fun. It is a game. So
that's such good points there. Before we get out of here, I want to get you guys' input on some of these myths that so many parents and coaches and players, it just swirls around the softball world. The first one, it's an easy one. The myth is it's easier to get on a list than it is for someone to take you off a list before you were ever there, as far as a prospect. As far as like recruiting goes, it's so much easier for you to strike a name off your roster and say, yep, that's just not going to be a good fit, whether it's the talent level, it's the personality, it's the parents, before you're going to say, you know what, I do want to follow up with this player. Is that a true statement? Or
it's tough to answer, but I'll go back to what I said, earlier, is that we're going to give everyone a shot. Most of the time we do, whether that's at their camp or at our camps. We're going to judge you just like we judge everyone else, and watch you perform. If you email us, like I said, most of the time we try to do our best about making sure that we see at least a couple of at-bats of that kid on the weekend, because we want to give everyone a chance. And we know that sometimes in videos it's not accurate. But that's not to say that sometimes we don't watch the video and we truly are like, okay, that kid probably won't fit here. But I do say that we do a decent job of giving everyone a shot and everyone a chance before we just completely say, no, that's not going to work.
Yeah, my answer was going to be similar. As brutal as we have sounded, I feel so bad that during this conversation, I feel like we've gotten on our soapbox so many times. I promise we're actually very positive, encouraging people. But when we have the opportunity to maybe talk about a few of our pet peeves that we have, I guess, we get on our soapbox a little bit.
I think we need that, though, because I think it's like people just think it's this, if I do this and I do this and I do this, I'm going to be able to make whatever school I want to go to. And they just don't realize it. I mean, it's cutthroat out there, because how many student athletes that you could offer? There's probably 50 athletes that you would like to, but there's like different little things that you got to make sure that whole unit works together. And it may not be anything negative or about the kid. It's just, it just didn't work out for her, but not saying it can't work out somewhere else.
Yeah, for sure. And like Coach said, I feel like that myth, maybe like for us, it would be the other way around. It might be a little harder to get on our list than it is to get crossed off, because we do try to give everybody the benefit of the doubt and really admire and respect the time that individuals are putting into this process, because it is so cutthroat. It's such a difficult process to navigate. Like, I don't know what all the right answers are for advice for recruits right now. Do you email? How many times do you email?
Right.
How many words do you put in the email? How long should your video be? How many schools should you tag or not tag in your tweets? I don't have all those answers for you. And I respect all the effort that's put into that process. I feel like it might be harder to get on our list because we are inundated from so many angles and avenues by people that want on that list, that I know that there's some that fall through the cracks because we can't always check every single email. I can't always see and like do my diligence to follow on Twitter everybody that is tagging us in a video. I might glance at that video, but then do I go to their profile and look at everything else that they have put out there? Not always, right? The time that it takes to really do all of that, to really catch our attention and get on that list. Maybe getting on that list is a little tougher. Yeah. The shortcut to getting on that list is through advocates and coaches that have pipelines and relationships with us. I feel like that takes you a long way. When you have a travel coach, a high school coach, an advocate that we really respect and know that they know what we want, those are the people that really help us form that really solid list. And then we try to fill in the rest of that list with as much of the other as possible. But the truth of the matter is we only have so much time in the day, and I'm sure that there's some that fall through the cracks.
Yeah. The other myth that I hear from both sides, and people are adamant, profile sheets at tournaments don't matter.
Actually, for us, we have a file cabinet of every profile sheet that we've ever received. So, you never know when you're going to need that profile sheet, whether it's when a kid, maybe they get into the transfer portal later on in life and we're like, oh, we have that profile sheet. Let's go back and look at it. That's one of our reasons for keeping them. Another reason is for emails, to get some of those kids to come to camps and seeing, their graduation year and all those things. And sometimes their grades, grades are obviously important to get into Wingate. So if you don't really have the grades, it's going to be very difficult for us to potentially recruit you. So I don't think that they're pointless. I think that they actually serve a great purpose.
Yeah, like Coach said, we'll hang on to them for several years now that the transfer portal is so busy. And it just helps us with our old lady memories that we can look back and be like, yep, I did think I saw that player. I have seen her play in person. Here are my notes on what I thought. But I will say that I prefer the team like brochure profile sheet that has just a snippet of information on everybody on the team. I don't always need a full page profile on an individual player. I want to sit and watch the game, and I want to be able to circle and make little notes about the players that stood out to me. And I'll hang on to that one piece of paper. And on the individuals that stood out to me, I will be following up with them. And that's when I can find out all of the other details about them.
And with those profile sheets, you either got people that absolutely love QR codes, and then you've got coaches that absolutely hate QR codes. What's your opinion on the QR codes?
I think that it takes up so little space that it's okay to keep it on there and just put it next to, the rest of the pertinent information, graduating year, position, maybe your high school or your hometown, and your GPA. Yeah.
I'm in the opinion of that. Like, if you have the QR code and it's a direct link to maybe their sports recruits, or it's a direct link to their YouTube page where they can have clips, it's easier for you to scan it on your phone when you're waiting on a flight or doing whatever, and you can go through. It's easier for you to do that. But if all it is a QR code on there with a name, and then you've got to do all this going through stuff, I think it muddies the water, and you don't have time for it. The other myth that I want to talk about is when you're looking at clips, there's a lot of different ways to send out clips and look at clips. So it may not be a myth busting type thing, but in your opinion, are a lot of shorter clips better, or would you like a 30-second, minute and a half, 2-minute long video of a lot of clips combined where you can kind of scan through it? Because I know sometimes coaches will see there's just too much of a preview of a clip before you need to get into the meat and potatoes. You don't have enough time, so you just delete it and move on.
Yeah, I'll say meat and potatoes are good, but there are certain things like pitchers, for example. Seeing the strike 3 strikeout pitch just over and over again on short little clips is maybe not going to be as beneficial for me as seeing the entire at bat and how you got ahead, what you did once you got ahead, and seeing the entire at bat and maybe having some context as to if the batter that you're facing is, committed to go somewhere. That tells me a little bit about who you're competing against, and is it a meaningful at bat? Do I see that there's runners on bases? Pressure situation. Can I see the score? So with pitchers specifically, I think that the little bit longer clips can be beneficial. Same thing could be said about a crucial at bat for a hitter. If it is one of those situations where it was a really crucial at bat and you really battled and you had really great decision making in the box and pitch selection, then please show that off by all means, because that tells us a lot more about who you are as a competitor than just seeing the swing and hit. So that would kind of be my 2 cents. It's hard to make it a white and black answer.
Right.
Yeah.
I think you made a very good point about the pitcher. You kind of want to see the sequence, not just the strike three every time.
Yeah.
And that kind of leads me to, like, can you tell competition from video clips, or are you looking for like the sideline HD or the game changer stuff like that, where you kind of know what tournament they're at, so you know the level of competition? Or do you want it zoomed in so far so you can see like every detail? Like, what's your opinion on that? Because I ask coaches that quite a bit. Does the level of competition that you're looking at matter via clip whenever you're watching?
The level of competition always matters. It does. There's some video out there that is kind of useless for us because it's so grainy and we just really can't see enough detail at all. Right. But I wouldn't say that we need to necessarily always see like the spin on the pitch. We can see a lot by like the way that the athletes on the field are moving and what their build looks like. We can see, if we can see like uniforms, a lot of times we may be familiar with who that team is. Right. But the level of competition matters a lot. We can sometimes see by what the pitch looks like coming in, if it was a level of pitching that's going to translate well to what we face. Right. But then there are some times too that we get baffled and we're like, oh, that pitcher looks pretty good, and then we see it in person and we're like, okay, we were a little bit off.
Yeah, I was just going to say, for the pitchers, it might be a little bit easier for us to see the level of competition because we can see what a hitter's swing looks like before they get in the box, especially if it's those longer videos where you're seeing the in-between pitch routine and things like that. So that's a little bit easier, but it's not always that way for a hitter. Video is very hard to tell velocity of a pitch and things like that, especially like Coach said, if it's grainy or if it's not zoomed in super well. So it's a little more difficult for a hitter to see the level of competition. Like you said, you could see the basic uniforms and things like that, but can't really always see the velocity that you're facing.
Yeah. And I guess just like in everyday life, whatever we're doing, whether it's social media or emails, how important are subject lines, like in emails to you guys when you see them? How important are those to get you to click on that email, like to maybe star that one or put that aside to get you to open it up?
It's very important. I mean, in my daily routine, when I filter through my emails, the ones that I know are recruiting emails, I don't open those because it's not time for me to work on recruiting right now. So I will pull those together for my dedicated time to open recruiting emails. And I might not always go in sequential order. I might go based on what I'm seeing in the subject line. Yeah. So short and to the point, because the subject line is only so long, especially when we're checking it on our phone. Yeah. And, have the pertinent information about your graduating class and your year, or your graduating class and your position. And then if you have been to a camp of ours or you are coming to a camp of ours, that will definitely stand out to us if you put it in there somewhere where it's not at the very end of the sentence where we can see it on the phone.
Yeah, that makes so much sense.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say the same thing. The graduation year is probably one of the most important keys to having that subject line because, like you've mentioned, the whole podcast is some of us schools have moved on from a certain class and that might not be the class that we need. So Coach said we don't have a ton of time in the day. And if you're that class we're done with, we're probably not going to put that email at the top of the list, if that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah. Typically do our due diligence, like I said, and follow up. But Yeah, we definitely won't be at the top of the list.
There is so much good information. I appreciate you guys joining me today. I'm looking forward to keeping up with you guys for this upcoming season. When do you guys get playing here in the fall?
September 24th at App State. So we're looking forward to that. We returned 16 and have 4 freshmen. Only lost 2 from last year's squad, and like I said, both best season in program history.
Yeah.
48 wins and a regional championship and a berth to the Super Regionals for the first time ever. And we fell to North Georgia, who went on to win it all. And we feel like we're right there. It's a good place to be. Maybe on that day, it didn't feel like the best place to be. But we are getting better every year, and that's what it's all about. And so we return a lot of very hungry players with some great experience. We've got a very strong group of seniors that are ready to lead the team and doing a great job of that. And they're ready for us to turn them loose. We weren't planning on doing any inter-squad scrimmages quite yet, but they talked us into it, and we're planning on that tomorrow. So it's kind of like Christmas Eve for us coaches, because tomorrow we get to see, what's under the tree and what we're working with, and get ready and geared up for that first real competition this fall. Mm-hmm. And I can't say enough about these young ladies that we get to work with every day that represent our program. And we are grateful to the families that have raised them, that support us and what we're doing here. Grateful to our community, our university and our administration here that support us and help us to provide the experience that we do for our student athletes. They're very deserving of it. And Wingate softball is a very special place to be and a very special thing to represent. And we're very proud coaches.
I'm excited. Chaley, what are you looking forward to most this year?
Oh, gosh. That's a tough question. My favorite thing as a coach is watching the athletes, grow into their full potential. And, I know some of it's not going to happen this year, but, they're always on the upward climb to reach that full potential. Yeah. And, I'm in a little different role this year. I'm assisting in a different role, I guess. I'm helping with pitchers. So I'm truly excited to see how that goes. I've enjoyed the last 2 weeks working with pitchers and, putting on a different hat every day and seeing what my knowledge of that is. And I've already seen some light bulb moments, and it's just like so rewarding every night when I go home to see, to feel that I'm helping them, do those things. So I would say the best thing that could happen is just seeing them succeed and be successful this season and even this fall.
I wish you guys nothing but success. You guys' whole college career, you've done nothing but great things, and I expect it to continue for you guys. So good luck on the season. I won't be a stranger. I'll be checking in with you guys. I hope I don't annoy you with messages and stuff like that, but I thank you guys so much for joining me today. It was a lot of fun.
Thank you. Hope we didn't hurt anybody's feelings. We are appreciative of you helping us grow the game.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks.